Too late. The recording
I'm
has
gonna send
started.
a trigger warning.
Oh,
What's
yes.
up?
You can give the trigger warning now that we're recording.
Well, yeah, guys, there's a trigger warning. There's going to be things that we're going to be talking about today's podcast that is going to either trigger you, um, make you feel things that you're not ready to feel, and I don't know. Go.
We're going to be talking about our specific triggers, so we may get triggered.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just for context for all of our audience, what is it? Just healing our inner child. I don't want our audience to be scared
No.
to know, right? Okay, sounds good. Well, this is Almas Despertando episode 2, you guys. So yeah, the topic is healing the inner child. And my sister has some notes here ready for us. So hopefully we have better structure today.
Yes, let's hope so. All right. I do have a little bit of knowledge because I am taking a course myself, but best believe I am no expert. I don't have all the answers, but I am learning and I am willing to share. Now, I want to start off by and I know I probably asked you guys this last week if you guys knew what your ACE score was, right? And you guys said no, right? No,
Correct.
okay. I
I don't
definitely
know
do want
mine.
to send I do want to send this link so you guys figure that out, not for us to share or judge ourselves, but it's more of giving us that awareness on where we are as adults and what we need to work on, right? So what does ACE stand for is adverse childhood experience, things that we experience as a child when we are from the ages of 0 to 17, right? So that it's a pretty big age gap. We're going through as children when we're depending on, our parents for survival, going through growth spurts, going through our bodies changing, going through this like huge change into teenage years, and then we hit adulthood, right? So how many times have we heard the phrase time heals all wounds?
Yeah, I've heard that saying before.
What are your guys' thoughts on that? Are you guys, it's something it resonates with you, or what are you guys' thoughts?
My first initial thought is that that may not be correct. That may not be true unless you run out of time, which is like until death. Then you could say all your problems go away. But no, I don't really think time is necessarily always doing the healing. I think there needs to be more factors than just time in order to
Okay.
heal.
Anna?
That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I would say time definitely helps a lot of wounds to be brought up. And then until they're brought up, then we can really start focusing, or not in that order. So time definitely helps bring up wounds. And then once we identify them, then we can slowly work on that wound. But I don't think time heals it. I think a lot of inner perspective work, um, figuring out who we are helps us heal, but not time. Because I wished time by itself, but no, a lot of work, a lot of inward looking,
Yeah.
and they all come at their own times. So it's never like in 1 year, once you turn 30, all of your triggers come up and then you fix
They're
them.
gone.
Yeah, I wish. No, just when you think you're healing one thing, I feel that's when,
You get hit with another.
yep, yep.
True. Mom, Kenya, what are you guys' thoughts en la frase de que el tiempo es lo que cura las heridas? ¿Es verdad? ¿Qué son tus opiniones?
Ah, pienso yo que en parte sí, pero no es tanto el tiempo, es simplemente cuando tú decides decir ya, porque así puede pasar toda una vida y no te puedes enterar de que tenías que hacer cambios, se te fue la vida y nunca te enteraste quizás de que traías algo interno que tenías que sanar. Y no fue a veces cuestión tanto del tiempo, porque el tiempo se fue, el tiempo se va y no es tanto el tiempo. Yo pienso que es la decisión del presente que estás viviendo para decir, aquí empiezo a sanar. Algunos llegan más tarde, otros más temprano, pero igual sí. Y quizás la frase sí, sí da con eso, porque sí, sí, el tiempo te ayuda a sanar, pero es lo que yo digo, el tiempo, ¿cuánto es el tiempo? A veces dicen, no, pues puedo sanar en 1 año, en 2 años, y pues creo que no, porque a veces si tenemos el interno muy herido, no es suficiente 1 año, 2 años, es toda la vida, pienso yo, que desde que te enteras que hay que empezar a ver eso que te ha hecho ver esa realidad un poco turbia, empiezas desde ahí, todos los días, día, noche, incluso el estar durmiendo, siento que en sueños también te hacen revelaciones también para empezar a sanar.
Kenia?
Come on, Kenyon. What do you think about the phrase when you think about inner child?
Of time heals all wounds.
Oh, sorry, time heals all wounds. Forgot it.
We'll get to that one.
Yeah, time can heal all wounds. If you're ready for it.
Okay. Well, I am going to say that that phrase of time heals all wounds is false. Es falsa. Porque más bien es qué es lo que estamos haciendo nosotros en ese tiempo, que es lo que es que sana. Does that make sense? What we do in that time is what heals. Not the time. Time does not heal. It's what we do in that time that makes us heal. Right? So that's huge because we hear it all the time. And I know I've catched myself a few times saying it to be like, oh, come on, it's okay. I'll let time go and I'll get over it. But that's not that's not healing, So it's what we do with our time that that heals us. Okay. So what are some examples of those experiences that we experience as a child? Is any kind of violence, any kind of abuse, any kind of neglect, witnessing a family member commit suicide or attempting or dying from suicide, any type of violence in the home or around us, or like in the community. We're surrounded by it. Substance abuse, mental health problems, and instability to parents' separation, but those are just some that will add to this score, right? And like I said, I will send you guys that link too, so that we, if you are interested and you guys would like to know what that is and kind of let you know where you are. Again, it's not to judge ourselves or anything like that, because we have no control over, this, because we were children. So another question here I have for us is what Johnny has said. What is inner child healing? What is it? Just a brief little summary of what you guys think that inner child healing is.
Well, let me go first. I feel like I'm kind of going through this right now. Maybe I'm healing my inner child right now, spending time with my mom being here. I think that really, what it really is that you literally do need to bring yourself back to being a child, and treating yourself like a child, treating your parents, like as if you were still a child. And it feels good. It feels good. It feels like I am actually healing that part of it where I was missing my mom the whole time, and I'm here with her now, and it's working. And yeah, at the same time, I am putting myself as like, I guess like where my mom left off, you could say, like where we left off with each other. I still feel like I'm the same kid with her.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's what you have to do, is you really have to put yourself in that childlike manner, and then you could start seeing and feeling the healing working. But yeah, that's about it.
Tú, mam, ¿qué es lo que piensas cuando escuchas sanar tu niño interior? ¿Qué significa para ti?
Pues significa todo en mi vida, principalmente porque pienso yo que sanándome yo es rescatarme mucho de mi vida y no sentir que fue tiempo perdido, tiempo como de desvalorización, tiempo de, no, más bien es un tiempo de aprendizaje y que con eso, al sanar todo eso, o sea, hay un recorrido muy grande, no tanto para mí, sino también para mi generación o mis generaciones de aquí en adelante, que es lo más bien creo que eso es lo que corresponde, darnos por enterados de que eso es muy importante en cada uno de nosotros y que si estamos tocando el tema no es solamente para decir o juzgar a nadie, porque realmente somos valientes de alguna manera. Somos valientes a tocar estos temas que muy pocos se atreven a decir, me duele o me dolió o me sigue doliendo. O sea, hay que tener el valor para decir que esto tiene un gran sentido de ser y pues yo le doy mucho valor a esto. Sanar.
Anna?
For me, I would say to be more so of being able to take that time to go back and forgive yourself for the things that you went through as a kid. Because like you said, it's never our fault. We never get to choose our environment, where we grow up, what we go through. And I feel like a lot of that trauma that happens, we end up as an adult or a young adult blaming ourselves that we went through that. And then either we feel ashamed, and that makes a big impact on the decisions and how we make them as an adult. So I think for me, it means being able to go back and sometimes it's very painful, reliving the things that really hurt us and forgiving ourselves for going through it, because we were just kids. Like, it was not our fault. And then even if the pain that was caused to us by someone that we loved could have easily also been them being in pain, them suffering from their traumas, and it obviously rippled down to us, and it wasn't their fault because they didn't know, And so I think it just means mainly like acknowledging that our parents, whoever it is, that person is doing the best that they could, that they can, with what they had to grow up with. And because of that result, it either caused us pain or their surroundings pain. And just being able to look at it that way and forgive and not resent. I think that's a big, big one on healing the inner child.
Kenya, what does inner child healing mean to you?
I think you guys said it all. Like forgiving yourself, like Anna said, is a big one, and forgiving the people that hurt you too, and like acknowledging that, well, like if you forgive them, just know that they can move on too from what they did to you. Because I'm sure they're stuck in something too. And I don't know, like, yeah. But like how you guys said, and how, yes, you said too, how to like see your days that they're not wasted, because I mean, you're living every day just how it is. So
I really like what you said there, that even like when you're healing, it kind of helps heal the other person too. That's very important, and I could see how that, like, I mean, it's just very true, and I see that with you.
Reflection of you. Mhm. Yeah.
And, yeah, I guess you're doing more than just healing yourself. You're helping heal anyone else who may have been a part of that.
Yes, especially the people that are around you too. I believe that too, that once you're doing the work of healing your inner child too, that they see it too, and it helps. Like I said, they're a reflection of you too, so they catch on to stuff like that, right? So what does inner child mean to me? Well, since I've been taking this course, I see it as like, yes, like when we were children, we were, we don't know, right? Depending on our parents, and we start creating our own stories or puzzling things together on how we're supposed to see things, and kind of make us crazy, right? Whether it's right or wrong, like you guys said, on because no one knows how to be a parent. No one knows. They are also coming in with their own wounds, and so on and so forth. So what is inner child healing? Addressing old wounds inside of us that were created in childhood, when we depended on our caregivers to survive, right? So we're children, we don't know any better, and we're there leaning on our parents. These wounds, they affect us on our present day, as well as right now as adults. We see them in our relationships, in our careers, in the form that we well, yes, in our decisions, in our careers, right? And the way that our wounds as a child manifest are, here's where I'm gonna be like, start throwing esas pedritas if they hit you, if you feel that that they resonate with you, right? Some of the inner child wounds, they manifest themselves, or in our present days, como people pleasing, not being able to set boundaries, and not speaking up for yourself. And those are just a few, right? And I'm saying, and I think I picked those three specifically too, because I know I resonated with them so much. Like I was not someone that spoke up for myself. I let people step on me. I let people say whatever, and I was not to speak up. I was also very people pleasing. I thought of others before thinking of myself, putting myself first, right? And then not setting boundaries, or at least not setting healthy boundaries, right? So again, those are just to name a few. Now we'll go into a little bit of what the 4 wounds are, right? And these are not in any order, so they are just 4 of them, and one of them is the trust wound, abandonment wound, the guilt wound, and the neglect wound. So the guilt wound is that I know, especially in our culture as Hispanics, I know that sometimes we hear a lot about that we have to be grateful, right? Si no somos agradecidos, it makes us bad, right? And
On
there's
that topic, real quick, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Elemental. Did you see the movie? You haven't seen it? You have to watch it, Ruben. I mean, Johnny. It's really, really good. It's about a fire and water that get together, and basically, like, she's like an immigrant. The whole concept. She's an immigrant. Her parents came from the fireplace, the fireland. It's Pixar, I think. I don't
Yes.
know. But when I saw that movie, I was bawling because when the guy was like, "Why are you crying? That's not something you want to do. That's your dad's business." And she was like, like, the last, like, this is the least I could do. My parents sacrificed everything for
And
us
we're
to have
not
a better
grateful.
future.
Yes.
And that I felt like as a child of immigrants.
Pause.
Pause.
Well,
Yeah,
well.
sorry.
Are you okay?
Well, my cat's here. They're fighting with each other. Sorry.
They need the attention.
Internet.
But yeah, no, that movie's really, really good. I feel like that one is a very big on our guilt, especially as an immigrant,
Yes.
that it's no longer doing what you want to do. It's more so, what do I have to do to make my family grateful? What do I have to do to help my family move forward? Because
Exactly. So so then that is one of the huge things of where that guilt wound comes from. Like we said, if we're not being grateful for what we have, we're being taught that. We're also to what's another one? Also, too, as a child, we're made to feel guilty if we have strong emotions, if we speak up. Sometimes I know that was huge too. That not necessarily. I don't think. Maybe some aspects in our family growing up, but I know I would see it too, of how seeing some parents speak to their children for just speaking their mind, making them feel guilty. It's like, oh, me ponen vergüenza, and again, it's you just being a child expressing yourself, and now for doing so you feel guilty, right? Another thing too is that we feel guilty for asking for help. I know that's a huge one for me as well too, and I think we kind of touched based on this last week. It was said on how we would feel asking for help. It was like no, like, who are you to ask for help? You have to do it. Tienes que ser chingona, whatever.
Ponte las pilas. It makes you look weak if you ask for help.
Yes. Yes. And so how, as an adult, how may this, like the guilt wound come out, I guess you can say, or
manifest itself.
Thank you. You find people who you bring people into your inner circle too, who keeps making you feel those guilt because it's something that you just know for so long. So you may know people and still in your circle who, like I said, make you feel guilty all the time, right? What's another one here? Also too, of wanting to be in control. So you also manipulate people, or you guilt people into doing things, playing the victim, things like that. That's how kind of they manifest you as an adult. So yeah, I don't know if you guys want a little speak a little bit more of how maybe you see guilt showing up in your life, or how.
I think for me as a parent, it's always that guilt of, like, I want to make my kids' life as easy as possible. I want to give them everything that I wanted at that age. But then I also feel that guilt where I'm like, am I ruining them for their future because they have everything so easy now? But I'm like, no, I think that means I'm doing my job, right? Like, it's that constant balance of like, oh, I should let them struggle a little to try to figure this out. And then also that, like, no, I want to swoop in and help because that's my job as a position. And as a mom, I need them to feel that they could come to me, because if I start letting them down now, then the day they really need help, instead of coming to me, they're going to try to figure it out on their own. And I don't want that. I want them to be able to come to me always. And so it's that guilt of like, I don't know, like
Yeah,
I
and
don't want to give them that entitlement, but I want them to feel comfortable to where they can count on me.
and like I said too, in the way you experience it and the way that it manifests as an adult, sometimes we want to have that control. So, or in our relationships, we kind of manipulate the person where to either make them feel guilty or play the victim. I know I've played the victim so many times too, of like for certain things, and so I know that's another way. Mhm. You guys take it.
Man, I can't really relate to guilt. At least I don't think so. No tengo mucho así. Pues, I don't know. I really can't relate to guilt.
Okay.
A ver, tú, Ma, ¿tú sientes algo así de... No sé cómo se... How do you say guilt in Spanish?
Culpa.
Culpa. Ajá. O cuando te dicen de que, ay, vas a ver, el día que me muera
Ándale. Ujú.
y que vas a andar llorando y que no vas a poder y que, that's
Ya te están metiendo a ti la culpa.
our system. Mhm.
Ujú.
Or
Pero esas cosas que está así que pasan como como niños
la
que
niñez.
en la niñez que estamos experimentando, y ahorita estamos hablando de que cómo es de que se ha manifestado ahora en tu vida de adulto.
Y adulta.
De cómo,
Cuando uno es niño y que te dicen, ay, no tienes vergüenza porque estás llorando, no seas chillón, hay cosas así que te hacen sentir culpable.
Sí, son
Tener
pequeñas
emociones.
cosas, pero que afectan. Como niño, tú eres, digamos que lo que tú buscas es como siempre ese, digamos, elogio, aprecio. eh, no siempre que te estén aplaudiendo las cosas, pero que sí digan, no, pues mira, hubo esta recompensa hasta en la escuela de que sacaste una buena nota, o qué buen dibujo tuviste, o llegó tu mamá, querías jugar y no podías porque pues estaba cansada, tenías que respetar eso. Más sin embargo, tú buscabas eso y te sentías como que siempre a un ladito. Aparte, los comentarios de que estás bien fea, te recogieron de la basura, y pues ahí hay una lista de muchas cosas y nombres y de personas, pero como uno no lo entiende y uno de niño es la esponja que agarra todo eso y creces ya con todos esos miedos de inseguridad principalmente, sintiéndote fea, sintiéndote que no vales, sintiendo que no encajas ni siquiera en las amistades de ningún tipo. Y siempre andas queriendo quedar bien con las amistades para que te acepten. Y que al final de cuentas te vienes dando a una cierta edad de que no era, que tú tenías que encajar con esas personas, porque la diferencia la hacías tú, pero no te dabas cuenta lo grande que eres. Pero que también hay puntos donde ya empiezas a ver que dices, bueno, ¿por qué me lastimaban tanto también de allá afuera? Porque eran crueles conmigo y no era tanto eso, sino que también crecieron en una misma cultura quizás, o hasta peor todavía que nosotros, y son personas que aún no se dan cuenta que también están heridos, y es su manera de expresarse, no viendo y reconociendo a las personas el gran ser que eres y que son. Entonces es una cadena de tira y jala, pero uno no se entera de eso. Pero mientras tú vas creciendo, tú ya creces con todas esas traumas. Ya se vuelven traumas.
Sí, y eso a lo que vamos, porque primero estamos hablando de las 4 heridas y de esas 4 heridas de niñez, entonces se van manifestando como traumas, que son the triggers, ¿verdad? Que son las cosas que pasan en nuestras vidas que nos hacen actuar o tener una reacción luego, dependiendo del el daño o esas heridas que tenemos. Pero sí, so that was the guilt, right? So now let's talk a little bit about the abandonment wound, right? So abandonment is when not necessarily, it definitely is being left as a children, que te falten tus padres, that you don't have them, or if they pass away at a young age, or just simply having the feeling of abandonment. You could have your parents, yet not having their attention whatsoever, right? So there you're already feeling abandonment for not having that attention that you need as a child, right? Also to the way it also can manifest itself is of you hate being alone. You have to codepend on others. Sometimes too, you start asking yourself as an adult, you start asking yourselves, I'm not good enough, right? Because of this abandonment wound. That's where that comes from. Also too, you threaten to leave in your relationships. You threaten to leave, or you have this mindset of, oh, you love me, so you can't leave me. You know, again, that fear of being left alone, hate being alone.
Or I'm going to leave before I get left.
Yes. And then another one is to sometimes the way that it shows up as adults too is that it comes off sometimes as jealousy, you know, of when they're not there. Again, if you're not wanting to be alone or question, like, where is he? This and that. But things in your head would be like, oh my God, what if a car hit him? What if this? You start already, you know, making yourself these crazy stories. But again, is this of a feeling of, well, I just heard myself echo.
Yeah, you're echoing for a second.
That's really weird.
All right, you're
Okay.
good.
Okay. That was really weird. They were probably like, yes, that's one for you.
You're like, hear yourself.
Now for me in this band, I can definitely resonate. For me, I think as a child, I did feel alone, but not because I don't think I had that attention. It was more just I didn't feel understood because I knew I was different. I felt different always as a child. So I didn't feel understood. And I know for sure one of those things that we just mentioned, I used to do so much. I used to threaten to leave all the time. Like Anna said, I'm going to leave before you leave me. And all you're doing is just sabotaging your relationships, sabotaging all of this. Or you are, sometimes it was to the point to like, okay, I already kind of started knew what I was doing. And I was just like, oh, I got to be careful because what if that he does leave me, right? What if this no longer is working? You know, what if my threatening to leave is no longer going to work one day? Oh shit, what the hell am I going to do then? Right?
Or that you actually leave and they don't chase. And then you're like, oh
shit.
he didn't love me.
Alone. Yes.
He never loved me. He didn't chase me.
So that is one of the huge ones on me that that took me a long time. Took me a long time to be like, okay, I have to stop this because yes, at the end of the day, I'm only hurting myself, and then I'm like just picking fights for no reason. But again, it's because we don't know where it's coming from or whatever, and it's these wounds as a child that we need to heal, and it's that too of in one way or another as a child feeling this abandonment, feeling that you needed something that you did not receive as a child. So anybody would like to share? And this one, I think, Johnny, as your sister, I think you definitely would have something to say, you know.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm the youngest of all of us. And I don't know, I mean, growing up, I know you guys had mom and dad, you know, together, but I know it wasn't always like the healthiest from my understanding. But I know that you guys grew up with them, you know, and I guess like in a way that made me like jealous growing up too, because I felt like I didn't always have that growing up. And I think for me, it's around like the age of 11 to 12 when I started to really like maybe understand that maybe my parents like weren't having the greatest relationship. I started feeling a little bit more abandoned around that time. And I think growing up, reflecting on it, it just impacts like my confidence on my day-to-day basis. Because yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there were like crucial years, I guess, where I wish maybe I got in a little bit more attention, in like many positive ways, you know, in celebrating like my little accomplishments as a kid really probably like would have been like amazing. But I feel like, yeah, I think that's just like what's really missing. And I feel that right now, I feel that today, that however I like, there's so much of me that wants to do so much good, so much like I have potential. I told myself that I have so much self like belief, but it's just like there's something about me that really doesn't let me achieve that, or there's like a blockage for me, and it's just me being scared and not believing in myself. And I think it's just because like I didn't celebrate my small accomplishments as a kid, and yeah, I guess that does really affect me a lot.
Like you feel that even if you were to do it, it wouldn't be seen or noticed. So sometimes
Yeah.
it's like what's the point, you know, if it's
Yeah.
not going to be seen or noticed.
Right now that you were just talking, and that's why I raised my hand, because something came to me right there where like I could literally see you and you're over here screaming, and it's like, why do they only like why are they only caring about their problems? Like, don't they see me? Something like that. Right now I lost the exact words that came to me, because I do have to say them like right there in the moment. But yeah, that same like you said, of them going and seeing that they were no longer okay, and you're like, hey, you know, I'm still here, you know, don't forget about me. So yeah, that is definitely huge.
I would say also helped me mature early in a way when it became about others, because I was never against, you know, either of my parents' decisions. Like I wasn't ever mad at mom, you know, for wanting to do her thing. I was always understanding in a way. I felt like I knew mom needed to do something for herself, so I was never like mad or, you know, too sad or too mad at her, or never held a grudge with her. It just like would say hurt, but like it's just again, I felt like I had to accept that. And even seeing like our dad, I know that I even had to accept how he was almost after everything too. Kind of, I don't know. I felt like I just matured early. I mean, in that way of understanding people and who they are, where they're coming from, and I guess like the problems that they're facing all the time too. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's one thing for sure. I feel from abandonment issues.
So ahora estamos hablando de la herida de abandono, ¿verdad? De sentirse abandonado cuando uno está de niño, no necesariamente porque no tiene los papás, porque pueden estar, pero no tener esa atención, esa necesidad, o cuando uno los necesita, no estaban, o de que se separaron, cosas así. Y se manifiesta como en adultez, se manifiesta de tener temor de estar solo, depender de otros. What was another one? What was another one?
O no tener valor en uno mismo si no está con alguien.
De hacerse esas preguntas de que, oh my God, no valgo nada, o soy lo suficiente. So yeah, so mom, si tú quieres decir, o Kenya, either one.
Okay.
Kenya.
O también el de siempre me dejan. Like, no me quiero, I don't want to connect with
Abandonment.
someone because I always get left.
Or copycat.
Or if you love me, you shouldn't leave me, right? The same.
Yeah, what are
Ask
your
the question again for abandonment.
What are your viewpoints on abandonment? Is it something
Do
that
you
you can
resonate
relate
with it?
to? Is it, and if so, what would you say is your trigger when it comes to
How
abandonment?
has it affected you as an adult?
Hmm.
I feel like I didn't really get abandoned a lot with my family. I think they were there a lot of the time. I didn't feel abandoned, but I didn't see them a lot. They did work a lot, but I didn't feel abandoned. I just felt like, well, I'll see them later, but I felt more abandoned when I went to out in the world and I met people and I met friends, and I felt more abandoned with them instead of like with my family. So my family didn't really put so much trauma in me in that, but yeah.
How did your friends make you feel that way?
I just feel like they were very manipulative, and I don't know, they made me feel like well, I thought they were good people, and I thought they thought that I was good people, but then they went behind my backs, and I just feel more betrayed with people more than my family. And now, like as an adult, I see trust people so good. So
Okay.
I know
So
it's like not really abandonment, but that's more of the trust one. But
So I think then right now with that, with what you just said, that definitely resonates with the next one that we'll be talking about, which is the trust wound. So that definitely is one you'll resonate. So you definitely can speak more about it right now that we touched it. Okay. So not so much then the abandonment. Okay, Mom, tú, la herida de ser abandonado.
La herida de abandonado, no, pues
o de
siempre
siempre.
estuvo presente, presente, aunque como hablamos, ¿verdad? Tenemos los papás juntos, pero a veces no comprendemos eso porque pues, los tenemos juntos, pero ellos están en sus trabajos, en sus actividades de ser papás y no se dan cuenta del abandono que quizás nos dan de repente. Y no es que los estamos o no los culpo a ellos, sino que claro que con el tiempo sí se hace una necesidad de apego también hacia cuando conoces principalmente tu primer pareja. Te sientes que es lo primero, no quieres ser abandonado, no quieres estar solo o que te dejen solo y hasta como que con más ganas se repiten las cosas muy marcadamente, que lo que no quieres es lo que se te presenta, como aprendizaje, como diciendo, esto es lo que tenías tú que aprender, la herida de abandono. Y yo creo que como mujer, principalmente en esto fue mi papá, aunque lo amo y todo, pero, o sea, por cuestión de trabajo, por cuestión quizás de ver en la relación una pareja, pues también con conflictos. Y entonces todo eso siente uno que le sella a uno una herida muy grande también de abandono, que te recalcan todo el tiempo y nos vamos a separar. ¿Con quién te vas? Te vas con fulano, con mangano, y haciendo otra vez un abandono, y que te lo vuelven a marcar, y creces inseguro.
Sí.
Creces con esas inseguridades de ser no lo suficiente también para alguien, porque no sabes dar esa seguridad que no tienes y que pues sí, se queda marcado.
Sí, creo que otro también que podemos hablar un poquito de esto, todavía esto yo y Ana, es también ese sentir de que mi papá quería niños, right? That was huge. I know we did things too to kind of fit that, de que, pues sí, he has girls, pero he wanted one way or another, he did He
That we never lived up to the standard because he wanted sons and we were not his sons. And
Exactly.
so it was constantly thrown in our face. It was a reminder of everything he didn't want. So yeah.
Right. So yeah, that definitely is a little bit of their like that are we're not good enough, or even a little bit of that guilt wound too of feeling guilty for certain things, you know, because of it. But yeah. Okay. So now huh?
I was gonna say, as far as the abandoned one for me, it's funny that we're talking about this around now because 3 years ago, around the same time, right before my birthday, right around my birthday, I had a trigger really bad, and this is when I went off on mom, and I was like, "Mom, you're triggering me," and the reason why is because I know abandonment is a very big one for me. In my relationships, even with the kids, I've had separation anxiety. And a lot of it I know now because of after this incident that happened 3 years ago with mom, I realized where it really came from. Um, growing up and mom and dad always working, long hours. It was always are they going to make it home? Did they get in a car accident? Was mom left behind? It was always I don't know if they're going to come home. Like, what's going to happen if one day they just don't come home? Constantly having anxiety where it's like, were they going to come at 5 today? Are they going to come at 8 today? And I'm just looking out the window and they're like, when are they coming? And I don't see them coming. Or how is mom going to get home if she's going to get home separately and then dad's going to show up later? Like, the never knowing. Like, it was never a conversation in the morning like, hey, you guys, just as a reminder, we're going to get home at this time so we could feel good, we could feel safe. Because I always felt like as a kid in our household, we were just the kids. Like, it was like the pets. Like, it was mom and dad as the parents, their relationship, and we were just the kids, like we didn't count as people. Like, we weren't in that level of like,
Yeah.
we weren't considered in the day-to-day decisions. None of like, oh, what do you guys want to do today? It was never asked. It was always like, this is what we're doing today,
Yeah.
and so that for me was a very big trigger too. And then when they would argue, and mom and dad would fight, and then mom would say, I'm leaving, and it was always, I'm leaving without you and leaving us with dad. And I'm over here like, that was my biggest trigger 3 years ago, where I was like, Mom, I have abandonment issues because every time you would fight with dad, you said you were leaving, and it was leaving us with him. And so it made us like, made me, I'm not gonna say us, but it made me feel like, why am I getting left behind if my dad is the one that you can't get along with? Like, why am I going to get left behind? And so that for me was a very big trigger where, yeah, your self-esteem gets like, am I not good enough? Or anytime mom and dad would fight, it was never about us. It was always like our day-to-day was based off of how bad their relationship was that day. And this was even when Johnny was a toddler. So it's like, we grew up seeing that, where it was always the people pleasing comes from this too, where they're upset. What can we do to be walking on eggshells? Like, you feel that energy and you feel like you're walking on eggshells because you immediately feel like any second now a chair could be flying across the room. We don't know. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. That constant anxiety and unease because we don't know. And so I know for sure the abandonment issue stemmed from that. And that was one thing that, when I brought up to mom, at that moment, I remember I was so upset because it's like, you're not going to apologize. It was more of a like, that's something you got to heal. And then I realized too, where it's just like, yeah, like now that I'm a mom and then I've been in really bad relationships, obviously me in that moment, I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the best for me. And then when I'm okay, I could take care of my family better. But as a kid, when you hear your mother saying, I'm leaving and you guys are staying here with your dad, it felt like, oh, okay.
It don't matter. Like, okay.
All right, like it's just the furniture. Like, yeah, and I'm leaving the TV, like, okay. Like, all right, cool. Why can't I come with you? And it was, Yeah, like it was like you don't feel good enough, or your peace of mind is more priority than me, or I don't know. It was a lot. And I think when I brought it up with mom and we talked about it, and now that I'm a mom too, it's one of those things where, like, if she had a conversation, or if I spoke up at that moment too, saying like, mom, if I genuinely asked her like, mom, why would you leave without us? Like, what if I wanted to come with you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it would have helped, but that conversation was never had. It was never something until recently, until like 3 years ago. Um, that's where I really realized, like, that's where that stems from. That's why I have separation anxiety. And I know I've done that too, where if I don't have to, what do you say? If I get si me dio, me ilusiono, how do you say it? If I don't get my
Mhm.
hopes up on someone,
Si te ilusionas.
I'm not gonna get abandoned. I won't get behind. I'm not gonna wait to get my high hopes and fall deep in love. That was one of my biggest fears, where I finally find the love of my life. I'm so happy, and we we commit to each other, and it's forever and ever, and then they die, because I felt like I never deserved that. You know, like the day that I finally find it, something tragic is gonna happen. So it's better to be unrealistic and just say, I'm not going to let anyone get to that level. I'm not going to let anyone get close to me. I'm not going to be 100% myself with someone, because I'm scared that the day I do, something's going to happen, you know? And so I feel like for me, that's where my abandonment issue developed in my
And it's
adulthood.
so crazy how that same wound manifests itself completely different, because we just heard how it affected Anna, right? And how it affected me. I was playing that exact same role that mom was doing. I was doing that. I was that mom. I was the mom that was abandoning and not. And this is crazy, just to know this is so huge too, that when we talked about these, it's so important not to judge ourselves. We are human. We don't know what we are not understanding why we're reacting this way, until we really get down to what is really happening to us and
You're in
why we're
survival
acting
mode.
this way. Exactly, because I when you're thinking like that, it's like, yeah, you're right. Why wouldn't I think of my kids? Because if you ask me right now, when I'm not mad or anything, it's like, would I ever leave my children? Hell no. Hell no, I would never leave them. And just recently, like, I've had like I guess we'll go and talk about if we talk about, children living with their parent, with two different parents, whatever, right? We do touch that subject of being kids of separated parents and so on and so forth, right? We got some stories there, but like right now, like I wouldn't be like, no, I wouldn't leave my kids. But yet, when you're in that, like Anna said, in that survival mode, in that hurt, in that wound that triggers you, you don't think about your kids. You, like I said, you're threatening to leave. You're wrapped up in this anger, in this fight, in all of those emotions, that you don't think of them. And that's what I'm saying. It is so crazy that we have the same wound in the same family, yet it's manifesting in two different ways of how Anna experienced it, and me playing the exact same role as I did as mom, because I did that exact same thing. That was my role. That was me running before you can hurt me, or I'm mad now. Now I'm gonna leave, and you don't deserve this, or whatever, and not thinking about the children, right? So that is very, very wow, mind-blowing and crazy to see how it doesn't affect everyone the same, yet those wounds are there one way or another, right? They manifest themselves as adults. So wow. Well, we have maybe two more to talk about, but first, before I do so, I want to thank you guys for really, really, like, wow, we're really opening ourselves and everybody, you guys being able to talk about our experiences. I think that is it's awesome to also see how much we've grown, and that because one of the biggest steps is acknowledging, knowing, right? So moving on. to the trust wound. The trust wound is, I think, another big one for me, because you what happened is that, you know, like us as children, we trust our parents to be there for us. We trust our parents to protect us. And if we don't feel that they've accomplished that or that they have done that, it affects us as children. I mean, sorry, it affects us as adults, right? It manifests that, yes, that we can't trust other people. I know I used to say a lot, like, I don't trust girls, but that also comes from the trust wound of not being able to trust my parents, right? Or like if something happened to you as a child and you go in to tell your parents and they don't believe you or anything like that, you already you're losing trust in your parents, right? And that is huge, because if you can't trust the parents, like I said, the ones that you are depending on, then who are you going to be able to trust? Another one too, for one of those examples, if something happened with you with a family member, right? And you tell one of your parents, and either they fail to protect you in one way or another. Not well, in my case, maybe not both, but at least one of them, you're already there. You don't have that trust. You don't have that trust with that parent. And the way that it manifests as an adult is that you have trouble trusting people. You feel insecure. You see validation in others. I know that was huge. I didn't have any self-esteem growing up. That one was huge for me. And I'm so proud to know, sorry, I'm so proud to be able to be like, I gained my self-esteem back. I stopped giving my power away to others, because this one was huge. This one was huge for me. And like Kenya was saying too, that friends, I was never really surrounded with so many people. I'm one that in a very small circle of friends, because you can't trust anybody. You're like, I'd rather be alone than put my my trust in other people who I know will end up hurting me, right? So yes. So that's a really huge one. And anybody want to go ahead and tell your experience or how it resonates?
Trust issues.
Trust issues, yeah. I think it's one of the biggest ones out of the four, I think. Well, at least for me. That's my opinion.
Who's next?
You can go first, Anna. This one.
For me, I feel like this one is not one of the biggest ones for me, but it is definitely makes a factor on how I've made my decisions in relationships. Because I think for me, it was like, because I've always had that trait of like always giving everybody the benefit of the doubt, where I want to trust people. So I give them so many chances, and I want to trust and I want to trust and I want to trust, because I want you to prove me right. You know, I want to believe that there's good in people. I want to believe that you have what is it called? A conscience. I want to believe that in the back of your mind, you're thinking about me, my kids, and our well-being. And so I'm always like that benefit of the doubt. I always overly trust it, and I would get disappointed. And I've had people tell me like, you're just too trusting and you're so dumb because you trust this random person to like be a good person. You don't know who they are. And in my head, I'm always thinking like, everyone can be a good person, you know? And I overly trust people. And then I think my biggest trust is with myself, where I can't trust my own decisions because I overly trust everyone else. And then I mean, like, years later, I'm like, why did I let this person do this to me? And then you don't know. You start losing trust in yourself, where it's like, can I trust myself to make good choices? Can I trust myself to surround myself with good people? Can I trust myself? Because, you know, like friendships where I've had people where I've vulnerable. I let them know about my life and my kids and situations I've gone through. And then they end up turning on me. And I'm like, how did I not see that? Like, can I not trust my decision making when who I allow in my life, who I allow my secrets with, who I open myself with? And I think that for me, my biggest is my trust issues on myself, not with others, because I'm way too overly trusting with others. I always give them the benefit of the doubt. I gave way too many chances. And I think that's why, too, now I'm kind of just like, I'm going to trust you, universe. I know if I have a slight doubt, let it come, let the truth come out. And it always does. It comes. And it's not until it's in my face that it opens my eyes. And then I'm just like, damn, I should have trusted my gut. Whatever. I wanted to be able to trust this person, but they showed me who they are. And then that's why I think I'm so very big. When someone shows you who they are, believe them, because there's no going back. Once someone shows you who they are, they show their true colors. I don't care if you buy me this. I don't care if you do backflips. I don't care if you become a magician. You showed me who you are. I seen it. I don't care how much convincing, how much begging, how much you want to change. People change all the time. I get it. Yeah, people can change all the time. But why am I going to give them the opportunity to screw me over twice? Like, because that first, I know how I am. That first real try is more than enough for me to be like, I'm so trusting from the get-go. And then depending on how you act, how you move, is how after that, like, one strike and that's it. You're done in my book.
Yeah.
So I think that's with friends too. First impressions are very important with me, like how I see people and how they introduce themselves into my life, into my space, into my bubble makes a big difference on how I'm going to view them. If it's immediately like, nope, I can't trust you, but they really, really, truly want to be my friend, and why don't you like me? What is that? I'm like, why are you trying so hard? Like, that is suspicious for me. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think I've been a little more cautious now because like I said, my biggest trust issues with myself, where when I do get screwed over, I can't blame anyone but myself because I allowed it to happen. And no one can control me. No one can make decisions for me. No one can put me in a bad situation but myself. So that's where my biggest trust issues come in, where if I am in a shitty position, it's because I put myself there with my decisions by allowing people into my life and have control over my feelings. And so, yeah, that's my trust issues.
Well, I could relate heavy to Anna, you know, in a way. I think I'm overly trusting of a lot of people. Yeah, way too trusty. I almost trusted our neighbor, and he's not a good guy. So, yeah, it shows you who I am. I would go above and beyond for anyone, you know. Like I genuinely trust a lot of people, you know, in hopes that they're good people, just like how I am, I guess. But yeah, I guess I also resonate with Anna in saying that, like, you just have yourself to blame when things go bad too, because you don't trust yourself or you don't trust your instincts. Yeah, I guess for me, I do have some trust issues, you know.
Yeah, and they can definitely manifest that way too. Because in my core, I could say that too. I am one to always that know that there has to be, or at least look for good in everyone that I meet. You know, I try to always see the positive in everything. I think that's just in my core who I truly am. So yes, I think too that it's another a way that it manifests our trust issues. So, Mom, Kenya, Mom, Kenya. I don't know.
Well, just same with your friends. We could touch upon that. Let's see. Trust issues with your friends. What they do to you? What happened?
Just have trouble trusting a lot of people in public. I don't know, with all the stuff going on. I don't think I've had really anything, not that I can think of right now, but or that's really still stuck in me. I think I've forgiven a lot of it. So that I feel kind of like free in that. So I just think that
Oh, go ahead.
I just think that I've forgiven a lot of that things, and I don't really communicate with a lot of people, so I don't really know who to put trust on. I mean, I trust the people I involve myself with, and I trust that that's the path I should be taking. So, no.
Okay. Mom?
Alma?
Ahí voy, ahí voy. Ay, se nos tira el fondo. Ay, pues la historia igual, larga, lista de aprendizajes, lista tanto de nombres que tiene uno ahí por decir, pero realmente no es lo importante. Lo importante, pues sí, es ese aprendizaje que tienes, que sí, pues se pone uno a veces en querer confiar en las personas, pero yo pienso que por lo mismas cosas que está uno herido, quiere uno encajar en esas personas que te acepten tal como eres. Y a lo mejor, como te digo, las mismas personas están igual lo peor de heridas que uno y pues también hacen esas cosas que no entiende uno. Pero yo pienso también que hasta cierto punto no es necesario tener tantos amigos porque a la larga igual no, en una situación donde tú necesites algo importante de quizás una emergencia, algo que supuestamente tus amistades están contigo en las buenas y en las malas, pues nunca están, realmente nunca están, siempre te dejan en las pruebas más duras y se muestran tal como son. Entonces, esas también causan heridas fuertes y que si ya tú tienes de por sí heridas y desconfianzas también de tu niñez, y como te digo, en el aprendizaje de la adultez, se refleja en lo que tú vas aprendiendo también como padre, porque, como les digo, inconscientemente uno hace el daño a ustedes como hijos cuando uno también apenas va en el aprendizaje de ser lo mismo que pasaron nuestros propios padres con los mismos patrones de enseñanza y que sin querer hacemos daño a nuestros hijos. Les enseñamos sin querer esa también desconfianza también de que uno no muestra tampoco ese valor porque no lo tiene. Empezamos por ahí. Y, y hay secuelas estando juntos o no estando juntos o separados o incluso juntos, pero pues parece que estemos separados porque no hay comunicación, no hay ninguna plática, no hay, ay, qué hermoso es el niño, ay, me enamoró, ay, ay. Ya me desconcentró. Entonces, pues sí, todo yo pienso que va de una hilerita desde abajo. Y pues que sí, aprendes bastante con las amistades. También démosles un punto, de repente un puntito bueno de que sí nos hacen enseñanza muy, muy marcada también, de que simplemente pues la confianza es en uno, no en los demás. Pienso yo.
Sí, como dijo Mom también, que pues, and I've noticed this too, que hay unas veces que cuando nos decepcionan, am, de que uno sí igual se puede like, enojar con uno mismo, es que, ay, porque le di la confianza a esta persona, pero también tenemos que tener eso en conciencia que somos humanos y cualquier persona tiene su derecho y van a equivocarse. Ahora, si son el tipo de persona de que a un punto van a poder llegar a darse cuenta y arrepentirse y pedir perdón por ese mistake, ese error que causaron. Yo digo que es rara la vez cuando uno se puede topar con personas así, que si hicieron algo mal o se equivocaron, que puedan darse cuenta y pedir disculpas por eso. Y hay otras que no, por su ego, por pride, no quieren reconocer que fueron mal, que hicieron algo mal. que no lo hicieron bien o que te decepcionaron, cualquier cosa. Y a veces uno, sí, en vez de echarse la culpa, que por mi culpa dejé que esta persona me dañara, que me lastimara, que no sé qué. No, a veces las personas van a equivocarse. A veces se están dando cuenta ya muy tarde de que, mira, ¿por qué hice eso? Anna was cool. Like, I messed up that relationship because whatever, jealousy. Those are all natural things that happens with everyone. Jealousy, envy, all of that stuff. So if you're human and it happens, I know I blame myself a lot, but sometimes you just got to be like, they're human. Somos
Ujú.
humanos. We have free will. We're going to mess up. And you can put a boundary there before allowing it to happen again, or, you know, talk about it, bring it up, and hopefully it's something that could be fixed. But not everybody's going to be on your level. And that's something that, or sometimes people aren't ready to heal that and hear about it and talk about it and fix it. And so they'll stay broken. But
Ya.
yeah.
Y eso es parte de, digamos, en los círculos de supuestamente amistades, pero se da más comúnmente siempre empezando en la familia. Y yo creo que en la familia tenemos siempre el grupo de familia siempre que empieza a dar uno desde niño, o sea, empiezas ahí a hacerte la desconfianza de que en quién confiar. Y tú dices, pues si es mi familia o es parte de mi familia o la familia de mi pareja, de mi esposo, de lo que tú quieras. Y pues a la larga como nos enseñan bastantes cosas, pero ahora sí como dicen, no hay por qué guardar rencores, simplemente poner una línea de, ¿sabes qué? Hasta ahí llegó y ahí quedó y aprendizaje solamente. ¿Verdad? Porque no nos vamos a quedar con él. Me hizo y tengo 30 y tantos años con esta herida que me hizo y ya que él ya ni se acuerda de lo que te hizo, ¿no? Entonces, ¿quién es el que se está envenenando acá todavía con el me hizo? Es que yo me acuerdo que me hizo. No, ya no, ya pásale la
That's
página.
when I left high school and I moved away from Illinois. I was like, if I had any beef with anyone, I reached out and I was like, look, I'm sorry you hated me for some reason. If I did something, I'm sorry. Because I don't want, I don't know. I've seen movies where they like hold grudges because you embarrassed me that one time in the cafeteria. Now I'm going to go murder your whole family because you're happy now. I don't know. Some people are weird and they hold on to grudges. And so I think that was my biggest thing when I left Illinois. If we ever had beef, if you ever thought I teased you, if I ever was mean to you, if I ever did anything to hurt your feelings, if I ever insulted you, I'm sorry. I was a stupid kid. I was hurting myself, or I don't know. Like you don't know what kind of ripple effect you may have done to other people. And so I think it's always good to apologize, even if you think you did nothing wrong, because you never know. You could have really screwed someone's self-esteem up by making a small joke once in like 5th grade. I don't know. And it could, I don't know, you don't know where it could lead. And I think about that all the time. And so that's why I'm always like, I hope nobody hates me because I made a joke once or because I'm so sarcastic and they took it personally. I don't know. You never know. Pero sí es bueno también, vivir en paz, de que uno sabe de que si dijo algo fue de un lugar de humor o de amor, porque a veces con amigos se dicen las cosas también así de que no hagas eso, te ves así, and it's coming from heart, a good place. Yeah, I may have hurt them because it triggered them, but if you feel like you did it from a good place of love, you should be okay, I think. But yeah.
Yeah. Soy nomás una pregunta. Bueno, no pregunta, sino una. ¿Qué podemos o qué podríamos decir en esta cuestión, en lo que, digamos, dijo Johnny? ¿Qué es lo que a él ahorita le brota de decir, quiero trabajar en esto? ¿Qué le aconsejarían a él de trabajar en lo que él dijo.
Okay, can we, podemos hacer eso ya hasta después de este último, esto es ya hasta el último,
Yo se lo
que creo que ese también sería uno bastante rápido porque el último es the neglect wound, which is, creo que se lleva por la mano el de abandono, ¿verdad? Neglect. So it's experienced neglect as a child, emotionally or physically, and the way that it manifests itself as an adult is that you struggle to let things go. You get mad so easily, and it represents it in emotions like build up in rage. So it's when you have those explosions. Moments that because you bottle things up and so that's another one if anybody resonates of that they have those triggers or experiencing those I know I used to but that was I think for sure that's something I have let go of because I have learned to express myself and talk and it's like more we need to talk it now before then later on I hold on to it and then explodes and it's bad for then the both of us, right? But yes, I used to be one to hold and bottle things up. I used to get mad so easily. Anything, no me podían decir mi amor porque, yo ya estaba ya encabronada, enojada, and whatever. Y so, pero again, creo que tiene mucho que ver o están casi en lo mismo, se llevan mano a mano el de abandono y este de neglect. So, any words quick, and then we can move on to Mom's question.
Me, I face that. I guess you could say I'm a victim of neglect. I felt that I would say like in the later part of my childhood, like age 15 through 17, with dad, I would say having his alcohol problem here and there. Again, I do agree it does go hand in hand with abandonment. However, dad was always present, but felt neglected again at the same time. And that goes like a long way because it was just me and dad for like the longest time, it felt like. And at the same time, we were like each other's best friends. I was there for him, he was there for me. And however, like it still hurt that like I felt neglected at the end of it. Because I wish I had like a dad at that moment, not just a friend. Because of that, like, yeah, like I wish I was more like, I don't know, like pushed to do good things, like studying harder or, making sure I went to college, because that was never a topic that was like talked upon. It was always like
parenting and not a friend.
Yeah, it was always about like, I don't know, I felt like work or just cotorreo, like it just always be talk. And yeah, it was fun and all, but like it was me needing a dad at that moment, yeah, I felt that a lot with dad. But I don't know what that does to me now. I mean, Vero did explain that. I guess it is a lot of bottled up feelings. I definitely am a bad person to share like my feelings, express them. I do bottle them a lot, and I think for a very, very long time until like I explode or I finally like let it go. But I think, yeah, I do see that. But yeah, I don't know how to fix it either. I mean, I think I know. It's actually communicating. It's actually telling someone, talking to someone, what you're feeling, what you're going through. And I think that definitely helps with your own neglect, or the feeling of neglect is expressing it, talking about it, because yeah, that does help.
And really,
But-
really
It doesn't go
deeply.
noticed unless you talk about it. And
Yeah.
that's hard for you to talk about because you assume people to already like know the role. Like you should be asking me. I don't have to tell you. And that's a neglect thing. I think for me real quick too, that's one thing where, you know, if you grow up, like I said, where I felt like us as the kids were just like the bonus housekeepers slash babysitters slash um, token to retirement. It was never like, oh, you're a child, you're valued, you belong, you matter. And so, because of that, how I felt growing up, now as an adult, you never feel valued as a person. You feel more of a, okay, but I'm a mom. Oh, now I'm your partner. And you don't really feel valued as a person as for you, as for yourself. Like, and so it's hard, I think, because of the neglect where is someone doing this really for me because they want to, or are they doing it because they feel like they have to? You know, like trying to make sense here with it. Um, like I think I brought this up a couple times to Jonathan to where it's like, oh yeah, I remember growing up. The only time we had sweets in the house is when my dad was fighting with my mom and he was trying to like buy her sweets to be like, I'm sorry. But the sweets were never for us. Like, oh, don't you touch that. That's for your mom because yeah, I'm trying to say sorry. And so we were just like, we get the scraps. We're like, you know, or if we get sugar, it's because my mom is sharing. You know, like it was never like, oh, I see a cake. Maybe my kids are going to want some. Or let me bring something sweet for the kids. It was never, ever that. And it was always that's how I felt neglected in a way, you know? Like, oh, you want sneakers for shoes? Okay, go clean the car, go do this, give me a presentation on why you need new shoes. It's not because your shoes have holes, you know? And I always had to feel like I had to fight to earn everything that I needed, that I wanted, that every other basic kid would get. And now as an adult, I feel like I would rather just get it myself because I don't want to ask someone to help me get something. Or, hey, you know what? Or they're like, what do you want for your birthday? I don't know. Nothing. Tires. I need tires, you know? And it's not something I truly, really want, but something I need, you know? And it's because of that childhood, that neglect. And, you know, yeah, like we had food, we had dinner, we had a roof, you know, but it was more so that emotional neglect where it wasn't like ever like, Anna, what do you want to have for dinner tonight? You know, like, and I feel like I'm doing that now with the kids where, okay, I'm going to consider your opinion. What do you feel like eating for dinner? I'm going to ask the kids because I want them to feel like they matter. And I feel like for us, it was never that. It was we're the adults. We make the decisions. You guys get what you get if you get anything. And so, yeah, I feel like for me, that's the way that neglect reflected as. And it did go into my relationships in the beginning where it was just like, you get what you get. You don't ever get to like choose something that you actually like. You just get what you get. So,
Who's next?
Any neglect? Do you have something to say?
we lost you, John.
And Johnny left without saying goodbye. I'm just kidding. Hello, hello.
Are you still there?
Sorry, buddy, we're having technical difficulties. We see you.
Can you hear us?
Welcome back. We don't hear you, but we see you. Oh.
Good.
I think so.
All right. Okay. So come on, let's touch up on neglect. I think you could relate to this with me. Um, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
See,
I don't know.
it
Like,
could be emotional neglect, parental neglect.
I think a lot of it, emotional neglect. I got, my parents didn't really believe in that stuff. Like when you were sad and you needed help to get up, they were like, "Oh, well, I made you food, you know." um, I actually went through a very long period where I didn't speak or talk to anyone from my family, and I didn't eat for a while too. So I think that caused a lot of trauma out of me from that, and I felt like they didn't care about me or they didn't care to ask. I mean, they didn't care to ask. So until time passed, they did apologize, and I'm glad they did notice that I went through something, but they told me they just didn't know how to help, and I don't that's where I feel like the neglect from them. And I can't really like go up to them and be like, "Oh, I'm feeling this," because they never really knew how to help me. So I really just fixed it
Kept to yourself.
myself. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's too, like in a little bit like that kind of reminded me like in school too, if we needed help or anything, um not being able to ask our parents because of their like not because they wouldn't know how to help us, right? So that can relate to that not being able to help, even though they see it, but not knowing what to do, you know? Um, it's hard. It's hard as parents.
Oh, one real quick back one on neglect too. Now that you're talking about
Oh,
school,
I think they froze.
are you guys still there? You guys are losing signal.
Yeah.
Oh no. 1 2 1 2. You guys. Dun dun dun. Just stay frozen too. Right. I don't know where they're at. No, you guys kind of coming back. Ya deja de comer eso. What are you eating? Put it away. Ya te los acabaste. Trash? Don't grab any more snacks. Just get it.
Are you ready to wrap this, guys? Are you ready to wrap this up? Oh, we've been on for a while, guys. Someone has to have the time, a timer.
Yeah. So we have. Oh, there they gone.
And they said bye. Thank you so much for joining, everybody.
They're they're done.
So what happens now? Does he have to re-invite us, or there you go.
Hello?
Yeah. Hi.
I think my laptop got too hot.
Oh no.
Oh,
Put a fan on it.
There we go. We're gonna put it on something.
I was telling Anna that I think we should have a timer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But but let's wrap this up.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm still recording, so
Okay.
Yeah, super quick. I'll make my comment and then we'll go about the neglect thing with school too. I think like one of the things was like I think it wraps everything up. The guilt, the neglect, the scared to ask for help, everything. And the reason why I felt like I also did really, really bad with school, like when they're like, hey, we have a project, the science fair is coming. I never felt like I could go home and say, hey, dad, I need to buy a cardboard stock because I have a project. Because you ask for something, he's like, ¿para qué chingados necesitas eso? Agarra esto, make it out of this, cut that box. And it's like, it's embarrassing, So it got to the point where I just stopped asking, And then you go to the conferences, and then the teacher's like, Anna's a great, bright girl. If she could actually just put her head in focus or be a little more organized. And I'm over here like, and then I have to tell my dad, and then he's just like, ponte las pinches pilas. And it's just like, okay, Dad.
Or like I
Wow.
said, not saying anything that you needed help in certain things. because,
Yeah, you don't
the
ask.
language was also a barrier, and how would you explain what you're learning to your parents too, so that they can help you with homework and stuff like that. So that was very limiting, and not being able to ask them for help, so that was hard too.
Don't
So I can relate. Um well, that was uh-oh. They're telling me the babies are hungry. Okay. So that was it for my part. I hope you guys liked how I kind of took this. And that is
Yeah.
what I guess that where that was. Like I said, there could be more if you guys wanted to do like a second part. But
the question that mom asked,
yeah, what was that?
it was what advice we would give. I don't know if she meant just for Johnny or like to ourselves in general of something that would be good for us to really work on based off of what we spoke on. Like with Johnny's, he said it was the self-confidence, and then over trusting. I'm trying to think what else that you went over. I think
Well, really, for
Mhm.
me, I think it was like this, like feeling stuck, and in terms of like, yeah, having that not having that self confidence, feeling like I don't know, something stopping me, a blockage. I don't know. When I am so motivated and stuff, but it's just like, I don't know why I can't do it, or I don't know why I don't know. It's just self doubt, I
You didn't
think.
know the first step to take to start going that way, like that direction.
Right.
Um, my advice for you on that, I would say, is gonna feel awkward and weird in the beginning. Um, for my example, like asking for help, I think that's something I think for the last 2 years I've really, really, really been working on doing. That I can't get mad at the people that I love and around me if I don't ask for help, if they're not helping me because I don't know how to ask. And so in the beginning, it was hard because I felt stupid doing it. And then you feel awkward. It's gonna come out wrong too in the beginning, and it's okay because you're learning how to do it. And so just be patient with yourself. And then second point to advice for that, I would say maybe try a motivation jar because Emily is a Gemini. Okay. And so I don't know if this is something that you guys have in common, but she's very like, when she's really upset and down on something that she can't get right or do herself at that moment, she shuts down like quickly. And I could be telling her and try to be like, Mija, it's just, you gotta be bad at things sometimes before you get good, or whatever it is that I'm trying to give her. She doesn't hear it. She doesn't hear it. It's like she does this bubble and she
No,
gets
pues,
so
Mhm.
mad and she
pero
shuts
son
down.
unos genios.
Yeah, she shuts down. And so what we did was a motivation jar where it's a little glass jar. You put all these phrases in a little piece of paper. So that way you feel like it's the universe telling you it instead of your mom. Oh my God, what do you know, mom? Or whatever. Like you're just saying that to make me feel better. Instead, it could be random things where it's like, I'm trying to think of a good one where I love myself and my mistakes. That could be one. Okay. And you could just take a deep breath, read that little motivation jar, and maybe one of those little messages might be the thing that you could just be like, okay, I got this. I got this. Like what the hell it'll snap you out of it. And you can grab as many pieces of paper until you feel like it's touching home too. So if it works for Emily, there's times where she sees like I have a bad day and I'm venting, she'll be like, "Here, mom, take one." And it's so funny because it'll make us laugh sometimes. The things where it says like, "You just need to blah blah blah," and then we're like joking like, "Oh god damn, this thing!" It's like a fortune cookie. You can laugh at it and it snaps you out of whatever you have your mental shutdown. So I think that would be my biggest advice of that. Get like a little motivation jar, write down phrases or find some and print them out because sometimes it's hard to like be nice to yourself, when your inner person is so mean and you hold yourself to a higher, different standard. So yeah, or you could ask mom or Kenya to write ones down for you and put them in the jar and pick one whenever you're having a moment of like, I don't know what to do next, you know. It could all be good advice. Only positive stuff though.
Yes, I agree. I definitely agree with that. Saying affirmations to yourself, looking yourself in the mirror, talking to yourself, expressing those phrases of gratitude towards yourself, loving, saying things about yourself. Um, oh my God, I just lost what I was going to say. But yes, taking the time to really, really love that inner child. Talk to your inner child. Talk to that little boy that felt neglected, that felt abandoned in that time. Feel really, really feel the emotions. I think the one of the biggest things of the way that I've had come across my healing is going back and really reliving them. So really going over those memories, those feelings, especially letting them out. So if you need to cry, if you need to scream into a pillow or scream outside, hug a tree, whatever that is, hug yourself. That's one of the biggest things that I had to do myself when I was first learning how to love myself is I had to hug myself. I hugged myself
Never
and I
get mad
spoke
at
to
yourself for getting emotional because
yes, and I
you have
spoke
to
to
allow that.
myself saying that if no one is going to come and give you this hug that you need right now, you have yourself. Because if you don't have anyone else, know that you have yourself, right? But it does come down really, really, like I said, speaking to that child, telling them it's okay, telling them also too. I've practiced recently a nice meditation to where you're visualizing yourself as this child and
Go brush your teeth.
like I said, you're going through these emotions, you're telling them that it's okay, you're hugging them, and then at the end, once all of those emotions really, do come out, play with them, play with that child. That was something new because I've had in the past done that meditation of seeing your inner child and speaking to them and hugging them and loving them and reassuring them. But I had never done the part of playing with my inner child, playing with that little Veronica that you would see and that were talked to. So that was a whole nother level for me because that was huge. That was huge. I think in that I know that I remember mom, playing with us a little bit here and there when we would play Barbies, because it wasn't all the time. It wasn't all the time, but yet we were already, ya estábamos ya grandecitas when that started happening. So as a child, we never had that because our parents would be working so much. And I think too that it has molded me into the mom I am today. Playing with Jasmine, like when would I have ever seen me playing with Jasmine the way I play with her and things like that too. And it's doing that, healing your inner child. So that was another level for me when I did that exercise of playing with my inner child. And but definitely, speaking to that little Johnny that used to go and say, God, remember who that Johnny was, like
Yeah.
really go back to, yeah. So
Yeah.
that does major things.
That does make a lot of sense. So I think I could definitely start giving that a try. And I mean, I'm the one that kind of said it in the beginning, and I'm over here not doing it. Is putting yourself as a child and kind of fixing those wounds, like you said. But yeah, I'll start there. I'll start with communicating to my inner child. And kind of encouraging him a little bit, kind of like what he needed. And I mean, I guess it's kind of cool still, like, I guess like realizing this still kind of young, not too far into my adulthood. I don't know, I'm like, I don't know, I'm getting old, even though I'm not realizing it, but I still feel like a child. So it still
Mhm.
feels good to know that like,
Somos niños en un cuerpo de adulto.
yeah, like I still have, I feel good that I'm realizing this now and that I could still fix this early on, you know?
And it's a
Yeah, that's
beautiful
good.
feeling when you've done that, because now as an adult, like mom said, I'm 35, but yet I love it when I express that inner child of me, because I can be a total goofball. I could be like so silly or so like and then I was just like, yeah, that's who I am. That's my inner child. That's just me, you know? And it's awesome. It's awesome that that you're healing it and it comes out. So yeah.
Like
Yeah.
being able to look at yourself in the mirror, and it's like, would little you look at you right now and be like, "Ew, what happened to you?" Or would they be like, "Awesome, you're so cool. I'm so
I'm
glad
so
that
proud of you.
we're doing this." And yeah, like there'll be times where I'm like, "Who?" Like yeah, you feel like a kid still. Like, who the hell let me drive this car? Like, I get to spend my own money. Like, stuff like that. Cool stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
Ujú.
Anybody want to say something else? Sorry guys, I'm kind of rushing because the kids are
No, pues ya
Ya
nos
ni-
pasamos de tiempo, creo, ya
Yeah.
cortamos. Y pues thank you very much.
Mhm.
Estuvo interesante hoy y un poco raro porque pasaron muchas cosas acá, si se dieron cuenta.
on your guys' today, yeah.
No quieren que arreglemos ese niño interno, pero sí les puedo decir que no nomás se queden en las palabras. Es un compromiso no conmigo, no con Kenia, no contigo, no con ellos. Es cada uno de nosotros que realmente lo hagamos. Porque no porque yo diga, ay, no, ya estoy grande, ustedes son los que tienen que arreglar sus cositas. No, no.
All of us.
Todos todavía tenemos ese niño herido, porque no fue un niño nomás de 1 o 2 años, fue hasta el día de hoy presente. Entonces,
Yeah.
todos los días
One
se tiene
advice,
que arreglar
like my
algo.
mom says right now, when you do changes for good, there's going to be resistance. Always. And
Always.
once it gets really hard, it's because you're about to hit another great
You're
achievement.
about to make break.
Yeah.
Yes.
Y es que la pelea no es con nadie más, ya
When
lo
they
que
say
pasó con las
misery
personas
loves
atrás.
company, it's true. So everything in the universe and the force is going to be fighting against you doing something to better yourself. So right when you feel like you want to give up because things are
Yeah.
going to be so freaking hard, is because you're about to cross that finish line. So
Yeah.
keep pushing.
And let me tell you, once you do, it's like a huge weight like taken off you. It's
And you feel
you can
so good
breathe,
about yourself.
you feel liberated. But yes, and know that it's constant work. So it's an everyday doing something little. I'm gonna say, and if you feel like in one day like you didn't accomplish what you wanted, don't put yourself down. Don't judge yourself. Don't put yourself down. Just be like, no, tomorrow's a new day. Y vuelvo a empezar. And again, and
Winning every day looks different.
one of the huge things that I hated to hear was patient. Verónica, ten paciencia. Yo era uno que no más
No,
escuchaba
yo
esa
tengo mucho.
palabra, and it was like, oh my God, me estás hiriendo donde más me duele. I'm like, no, I want this over. Pero it's really understanding what patience is and being patient. So
Todo su trabajo.
Yeah,
todo su momento too.
definitely one
Yeah.
of the biggest.
Ok, pues thank you very much.
I love this.
Gracias.
I love this. I love this.
Todos.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye. I love you
Thank
all.
you.
You're so awesome. Bye, Kenya. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
All right, sounds
Bye.
good,
Have a
guys.
good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Están-
Everyone has to do their thing.
Ajá, de que estuvo raro hoy.
Yeah.
Y Angelina, ¿por qué le dio este ataque de... Había nunca lo había hecho así. No sé si fue